Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Megan Saulsbury on the line, and she's owner and CEO over at Canyon PR. Megan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about today's topic. So what business owners need to know about preparing for an interview? Let me tell you, before I was full-time in media, I did interviews and I was probably terrible because I didn't know you were supposed to prepare. So you're going to help all of our business owners out there. But before we get into that, I want to give the audience a little bit of time to get more familiar with what you're doing over at Canyon PR. So tell us a little bit more about your company, please.
Sure. So we've been operating since about 2009. And we work with a variety of companies of all sizes. So startups to large-size companies on an international level. And the main goal is to basically generate positive press coverage. So we do that through a variety of different tactics, like product and service launches, review campaigns, experts campaigns, where we get the founders or CEOs of companies straight in the face of the press, really highlighting them as experts within their fields. And we also focus on media training and just making sure that clients are well prepared for any type of interview that they may encounter.
So I think that's a great transition. I do want to get into media training. It's funny. I've been in media a long time now, going on a whopping 3 years. Not that long, right? But that being said, after almost 1,500, almost 2,000 interviews, I think we're at now. I finally started media training maybe 6 months ago. I had a couple sessions, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how little I knew. So it's everybody listening, like whether you're a novice, whether you're full time, whether you have a big brand, I'm telling you, everyone can benefit from media training. So where do you want to start from with this one, Megan? So what business owners need to know about preparing for an interview?
Well, I think it's really important to understand the fact that, yes, you might be an expert within your field. You might know your product or service like the back of your hand, but it's so important to learn how to properly convey your messaging to different forms of media. So whatever person you might be talking to in the interview, they might be focused on the trade, or someone else just might be a general person within the media. Whoever it is, it's so important to change your messaging so you speak to each person in an effective manner so that it really resonates with their audience.
Can you give me an example of something that you notice when you're watching an interview and you can just tell like somebody, and I don't mean this to pick on them, we're not picking on people, but I'm a visual person, like to where you see something, because your eyes train differently, and you see things that we don't see, not being media trainers and doing that for a living. So what are some things you see that are just very common that you're like, oh man, they need that. If they had a little bit of training, they could like up their game so much more. What are some of those like things that are just tells?
Yeah. I think it's just so important to pay attention to body language and to also focus first and foremost on building relationships with the person you're talking to. You may have just met them, but it's so important to just understand you're talking to someone else. You're having a friendly conversation, and your goal is to convey the messaging of your company or whatever product or service you're offering. You need to convey it in a manner that the recipient is going to receive. So oftentimes, if I'm standing on the sideline of interviews, I pay attention to the member of the press. I can see them flinch. I can see a little body language where I can tell the messaging is just not resonating with them. So I think it's really important for whoever is conducting the interview to always be aware of the body language of who's interviewing them and be able to, just act quickly on your feet. Refine your messaging as needed to make sure that you're really conducting just a great conversation.
And what is, should people prepare differently for different types of interviews? Let's go there. Because that phone versus in person versus like formal versus, because there's so many nuances to this.
Absolutely. That's a great question. When I conduct media training for company executives, I always like to do practice rounds with different forms of media. So I'll start off with just a pen and paper asking questions. And they usually look so relaxed and the interview goes so smoothly. The moment I put a camera in front of them, it's a deer caught in headlights. And I always play it back for them. And I feel so bad because they see right away, oh my gosh, they just completely froze. So anytime someone is preparing for a press interview, I think it's so important to do practice rounds with different forms, a pen and paper, a simple recorder, or put a camera in front of their face. And that way, they'll see how they respond to each form, and then they're better prepared for it.
Oh my gosh, but it's just so scary.
It is, but the first round might be so tough, but more practice, more exposure, you're going to nail it eventually.
Oh my gosh, I used to have a YouTube channel, and I remember when we have plenty of them now, but I mean, it was like an actual, like, creating other things, and I remember the first time I seen myself on it, and I was like, no, it's so bad.
I know.
And they were bad, by the way. They probably still are, but they're not up there, so don't go digging anybody out there. They're not up there. They're not published right now, so you're not going to see those. All you're going to see is the professional stuff. But it's tough, and the reason why, though, is because those steps, like, in my opinion, it's so important. Like, it's not, like, I think as cell phones and, we talk on FaceTime and all these other things, like, I think at some point everybody kind of thought, oh, well, if I'm in front of camera on FaceTime or social media, like, that's the same. And I'm like, no, it's not the same. Like, you really want to prepare for when you have an opportunity to showcase your business, because you have so much, because that stuff lives out there. It's going to be out there for a long time, and you put so much work and time and effort into your products and for your clients and everybody else, that why would you want a piece of media out there that was just kind of hodgepodge? Like, you want to prepare in advance.
Absolutely. And I think it's just also so important to remember, don't be so hard on yourself. Just make sure that you did prepare, you practice, and then present yourself in the best manner possible. And if you're not very happy with how it turns out, then use it as a stepping stone to help you improve moving forward. And you're only going to get better over time.
That's awesome. I agree with that completely. The practice makes perfect thing is really important. So let's I guess I could talk to you about this all day long, by the way. But final question. So when somebody's preparing for an interview, like, there's some people that are really, I guess you would say, scripted. Some people are expert. I can never say the words because they're more impromptu. And then there's some people that they freeze a little. Like, there's different levels there. Now, what kind of advice would you give to somebody that's having a little bit of how would I say it? Like, fear? Like, they have that deer in headlights, because you mentioned it, but how do they get over that? Like, in your experience?
Yeah, and first I have to say, it is just so common. I mean, we all experience it at some point. But what I really encourage my clients to remember is that you're talking to another person. That's all it is. I think it's really healthy to take pressure off of the fact that, oh my gosh, this is an interview, or oh my gosh, someone is going to record this and it's going to be on the internet forever, or it's going to be on TV. Take that pressure off and just remember, the person talking to you is on the same level as you. You're having a friendly conversation and you're sharing insight about your company, yourself, or your thoughts about that particular industry. Bottom line, it's just a friendly conversation where you're sharing your insights. And I think if you can just kind of bring yourself back down to that grounded level, that's really going to help you present yourself in the best possible light and take away any of that potential fear or deer caught in headlights that might happen.
I love that. And to the hosts out there, make sure that you make your guests feel comfortable, because some of them, they may be really scared, and you may not know that they're scared. Sometimes I'll have people come on the show and they're like, "Oh, I'm nervous," and I'm like, "What do you mean you're nervous?" I said, "Is this the first time you've been on the phone?" You're on the phone. We're talking on the phone. What do you? Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Is this the first time you talked on the phone? I'd be nervous too if this was the first time you talked on the phone.
Absolutely, and that's such a good point.
Love it. So, Megan, if
Yeah.
somebody's listening to this and they want more information on Canyon PR or to reach out, what's the best way for them to follow up?
Absolutely. Check out our website, canyonpr.com. Shoot me an email, megan@canyonpr.com. I love forming new relationships, talking to people, sharing insights, and just having some good conversation. So please feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Well, hey, Megan, it's been great having you on the show. Appreciate you coming on and sharing all those tips for our business owners and myself on how to get better for preparing for an interview. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you had a lot of fun listening to this because we had fun making this for you. If you did, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Marketing, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also let us know what you thought. Love to hear what kind of projects and businesses you're working on. And Megan, thanks again for coming on the show.